Welcome back, Focus Learners. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here for this explainer covering Module 4 of the Triple E program. Today, we're focusing on something that is truly at the heart of almost every single business stream out there, accessing equipment finance and funding readiness. So often we just get stuck in a rut believing that if we only had the money, well, everything else would magically fall into place. But today, we're going to unpack a massive, fundamental mindset shift. We're going to move completely away from that desperate feeling of needing money and instead learn the structured, proven methods for actually attracting it. Here is our roadmap for this explainer. First up, the great funding myth. Then, understanding equipment financing, followed by the funding pyramid. After that, we'll look at what funders actually want, the Triple E mindset, and finally, wrap it up with your action plan. Let's get to it. All right. Kicking things off with Section 1, the great funding myth. Funding follows readiness. Let's dive into this by looking at a scenario we can all probably relate to from when we first started thinking about getting our businesses off the ground. Think about the story of Aisha and Tunde. Now, both of them desperately wanted funding to grow. But here's the absolutely critical difference. Aisha came to the table with a business idea, sure, but she also had actual customers, she had diligently kept her business records, and she drafted up a simple business plan. Tunde? Well, Tunde was cashing it, for sure, but he literally only had an idea. So what happened when they both applied for support? Aisha was considered ready. Tunde, on the other hand, was advised to go back to the drawing board and develop his business further. It wasn't about who had the cooler idea. It was entirely about who had done the foundational work. So this brings us to where we often get it so wrong. The myth that destroys so many potentially amazing enterprises is this dangerous sense of entitlement. The belief that money creates successful businesses, that if a funder just handed you a massive check, success would naturally follow. But the truth? It's the exact opposite. Successful businesses attract money. Value creation absolutely must come first. Funding is not your starting line, folks. It is the reward for proving that your business model actually works. Moving right along to Section 2, understanding equipment financing, getting down to the basics. So what exactly is equipment financing? In simple terms, it's a tool that allows entrepreneurs to access the vital equipment they need to grow without having to pay the full, often overwhelming, cost up front. The whole goal here is to increase your productivity, boost your income, and ultimately drive your business growth. And honestly, this is a total game changer across so many industries. Whether in agriculture and you need tractors, manufacturing, the garment industry needing industrial sewing machines, or maybe printing, construction, or transport, equipment financing is essentially the bridge between where your capacity is right now and what your future potential could be. But we also need to understand exactly where equipment financing fits into the broader business ecosystem. Obviously, there are lots of sources for business finance. You might start with your personal savings or tap into family and friends. You might utilize cooperatives, form strategic partnerships, or look for business support programs from the government or private sector. Equipment financing sits proudly right in this mix as a highly structured, specific arrangement to get you the physical assets you need to scale up your operations. Okay, Section 3, this is a big one, the funding readiness pyramid, and why you need to build your foundation. Take a really close look at this. This is the Triple E funding pyramid. Notice where funding actually sits. It's way up there at the absolute top of the pyramid, the apex. It is not at the bottom. You literally cannot build a pyramid from the top down, and you definitely can't build a business by starting with funding. The key insight I really want you to take away from this explainer today is that you must build your foundation first. Funding readiness is something you demonstrate through hard evidence. It is never, ever automatic. Let's walk through this sequentially, starting right down at the base. Level 1 is your business idea. It's a great start, but as we saw with Tunde, it's just not enough. From there, you build Level 2, your business model. How is this actually going to make money? Then, Level 3, you go out and find your customers. Once you have those customers, you move to Level 4, keeping meticulous business records of all those transactions. Because those records, they allow you to build Level 5, a realistic, data-driven business plan for growth. Only when those 5 solid blocks are firmly in place do you reach Level 6, true funding readiness. Every single level has to be built before you can step up to the next. Which leads us perfectly into Section 4, what funders actually want. Let's look at the 6 criteria. Before you ever walk into a room to seek finance, you've got to understand what makes a business truly fundable in their eyes. Funders are incredibly practical people, and they're typically looking for these 6 non-negotiable criteria. 1. Do you have a clear business opportunity? 2. Are your customers clearly defined? 3. What is your actual realistic revenue potential? 4. can you prove it with your business records? 5, do you have a strategic growth plan? And 6, do you demonstrate responsible management? If you can provide solid evidence for these 6 points, you completely change the conversation. You're no longer asking for a favor, you're presenting them with a lucrative opportunity. So let me ask you to pause for a second and do a quick mental check right now. Think about the funding readiness scorecard. Be brutally honest with yourself. Rate your business from a 1 to a 5 on each of these questions. Have you identified your opportunity? Do you truly understand your customers? Do you have a proven model? Are you keeping daily records? Do you have a realistic growth plan? What's your total score looking like right now? And hey, if it's lower than you'd like, that is perfectly fine. That just tells you exactly which block of the pyramid you need to focus on building today. Because if we just ignore that scorecard, well, we fall right into the classic traps of common funding failures. Why do people get rejected? It's almost always the exact same reasons. No business records, no actual business plan, poor financial management, trying to secure funding when they literally have zero customer base yet, having totally wild, unrealistic expectations about what the money is going to do, and overall just a complete lack of preparation. These pitfalls are completely avoidable if you just follow the pyramid structure. Let me share a brilliant example of what happens when you actually do the work. This is the Nellgrow case study. Nellgrow is a pathway within the Triple E ecosystem designed to support this exact kind of readiness. So we had this amazing garment entrepreneur who desperately wanted industrial sewing equipment, but instead of immediately rushing out and begging for a loan, she hit pause. She put her head down and focused on growing her customer base first. She kept strict records, she documented every single sale. After several months of doing this, she had undeniable, hard evidence of demand and an incredibly clear growth plan. She put herself in a massively stronger position to actually qualify for that equipment finance. The big takeaway here, preparation literally creates your opportunity. All right, on to section 5, the Triple E mindset. This is a vital mental shift. This ties everything we've talked about together, perfectly bookending what we discussed at the very start of this explainer. We have got to take that old thinking, that I need money before I can even start, or funding will magically solve all my problems mentality, and just toss it right out the window. Instead, we are fully embracing the Triple E thinking. Your new mantra should be, I must first build a viable business, because the path forward is crystal clear. Customers create your revenue, your records create your credibility, and it is that proven credibility that ultimately attracts the funding. Finally, we are at section 6, your action plan and module completion. Okay, before you even think about clicking over to Module 5, which is going to cover enterprise management and operations, I have an action challenge for you. Here are 4 concrete, immediate steps you need to take right now. Number 1, write down the specific equipment your business actually needs. Number 2, do the homework and estimate its exact cost. Number 3, write out a clear explanation of exactly how this equipment will directly increase your revenue. And number 4, if you haven't already started, begin keeping basic business records today. Start logging every single sale and every single expense. I'm going to leave you with a pretty provocative question to chew on as we wrap up this explainer. Look at what you do every day in your business. Are you just relying on a sense of entitlement, kind of hoping someone will magically see your potential and hand you money? Or are you actively, purposefully demonstrating your funding readiness by building your pyramid from the ground up? The power to attract funding is completely in your hands. Do the foundational work, track your success, and the finance will follow for sure. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I will see you in the next module where we're going to tackle mastering your daily business operations.